Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I hope everyone is doing well and having a very Merry Christmas with friends and loved ones. I do hope that's the case for you all. And if they're a little angry over TDS, give them a little eggnog and stay in the Christmas spirit. Remember the reason for the season. We are but one grain in the hourglass of time, one grain of sand in the hourglass of time. So anyway, folks, I do hope you had a great day. What do I do when I go live? I play a video to give people time to get in so they can prepare to join in the chats and maybe make themselves with a little eggnog with a little boost of bourbon, or you might want a cup of coffee or cold beer or whatever is your want. So anyway, folks, I play my little intro video and then we'll be like butter and get on a roll.
Corralled into this box where we either have to hate Vladimir Putin and believe everything evil that's said about him and love Ukraine, and there's no in between. And that reminds me a lot of you're either a white supremacist or you go with the Democrat narrative on everything under the sun.
The most lethal terrorist threat to the homeland today, white supremacy.
And I want to understand white rage, and I'm white.
I mean, there's as much interference here as you could possibly imagine. Before you even get to Hunter Biden, Nancy Pelosi, John Kerry, Mitt Romney, and all of their children who earn millions from Ukrainian gas companies. These days, it's hard to believe anything because they've lied about COVID, they lied about Russia collusion, they lied about the Ukraine impeachment trial, and there's so much more going on in Ukraine that nobody is talking about.
Does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
My job as a journalist is to try to understand what is the truth here. I don't like being lied to, and we're being lied to on an epic scale. When we're told your only choice is you have to be 100% with Zelensky. Slava Ukraina. The puppets who you can find on the internet in black stilettos and leather pants. Zelensky was selected, like so many of our leaders. And honestly, with big tech and with election fraud these days, we don't know how many leaders all around the world have been selected for us and weren't actually voted in.
How to build back better.
We have to build back better.
Build back better.
If Donald Trump gets the Republican nomination, there are many of us that will move heaven and earth to ensure he doesn't win.
We are fighting the same battles all over the world. To pretend that this war is about Russia and Ukraine is a barefaced lie. Putin has been warning for 15 years that he is not going to stand by while the globalists take over the world, build bioweapons facilities and whatever else they're doing in Ukraine. Ukraine has been a center of money laundering for many of the leaders in this country. Billions of US dollars have been laundered through Ukraine, and we say nothing about it. Does nobody question these things? We have an idiot like Lieutenant Colonel Vindman.
Mr. Vindman.
Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, please.
Do you always insist on civilians calling you by your rank?
And sits there as a lieutenant colonel. He didn't even make colonel. And he's telling the president of the United States what his policy should be. You have a traitor in the form of Maria Yovanovitch, who was Obama's ambassador, who's telling Ukrainian government officials, don't listen to the will of the American people.
In his July 25th phone call with Ukrainian President Zelensky, the president badmouthed Yovanovitch, calling her bad news.
I was shocked, absolutely shocked.
And then she's given a cushy job for life at Georgetown University, and we're told that the president of the United States cannot say to his foreign counterparts that we want you to look into something.
If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. And they put in place someone who was solid.
So much hypocrisy and dishonesty here, and Ukraine is at the center of it all.
You want to play this? Okay. Come on. Okay. You want to play rough? Okay. Say hello to my little friend.
Storm zone.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering what storm you're talking about.
They have unsuccessfully tried to take down the wrong person.
that he's absolutely going to come back with full vengeance the next time around.
Well, think about what 4 years of a retribution presidency might look like. Our Constitution really does give President tremendous power to destroy. This will be something we could never have imagined.
Now the gloves are off.
Some of Trump's close political allies told him they are working on figuring out the identities of the FBI and DOJ staff and forming lists.
I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and AG in America for their illegal, racist enforcement of the law. The deep state is destroying our nation, but the tables must turn, and we will quickly destroy the deep state. We know where the bodies are buried. There are a lot of people out there that have done some very, very evil things, very bad things, I would say treasonous things against our country. People that have done such harm to our country. I've been looking at them for a long time.
He could order the investigation and prosecution of individuals who he sees as enemies.
Put them all in jail where they belong. You gotta get tough and smart, and you have to fight fire with fire. You can't allow this to go on. And I will be the one to clean it up. I am your retribution. We will take care of it. We will take care of it.
I cut that off. It sounds like I'm gasping for my life. But anyway, folks, I hope you're doing well. Hello, everybody. Oh, man, I decided to go live tonight. There's so much going on. It's so exciting, and things are going to be picking up steam big time. I believe they're going to be picking up steam big time. I don't want to, get people's Christmases bamboozled or anything like that. But I did put this picture up of George Washington crossing the Delaware, which he did on Christmas Eve. And we talked about that last night. We'll talk about it some more. But anyway, let me see who's coming in to see me tonight. Darla's here. Randy's here. Miss Mindersue, thank you for stopping by. Buy me a coffee, Miss Mindersue. I do appreciate it very much. Let's see, I put up hearts for Miss Mindersue, don't I? Along with Wayne and Norm went by there. And rolling. I appreciate it in this final week, not only of the month, but of the year. So isn't that something? Here's Miss Mindersue's hearts. There you go, Miss Mindersue. I do appreciate it. So I want to put some booms up, but I want to put some booms over George Washington. So anyway, we got Jet Lags here. Gary's here, chairman of the board. Cole's here. Debbie, nice to see you. K&S Cleanup, you've been busy, have ya? Good, that means you're making money, no tax on tips. Remember that. Melinda's here. Darla, let's see. Bubba, nice to see you, Bubba, one of the founders of the Mountaineers. Linda Marie's here. MS Motorsports here. Nice to see you. Brush is here. Michelle, Gail, nice to see you. Rebecca, nice to see you also. Miss Mindersue put some booms in, and Melvita's here. Yes, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas too. Melvita, everybody have a very Merry Christmas. What are you all enjoying this evening? I put some booms up. Pow! What are you all enjoying this evening? I want to put some exclamation points. I'm going to play a clip of something that you all will find very interesting. And I'm going to ask you all who can back me up on Hi, jet lag. Yeah, Hunter came out. Hunter came out with some babble. I was going to play that clip, but let him wiggle. Let him wiggle. But anyway, I got some things I'm going to talk about. You all are my witnesses. I talked about years ago that are coming to fruition. So here we are. We're dealing with this criminal cabal. The walls are closing in on this criminal, foreign-influenced cabal. And it is becoming more and more apparent every day to hundreds and thousands of Americans just how bad our national psyche has been damaged by these individuals. But we're going to keep reminding the world, when your local neighbor wishes you a Merry Christmas, but 5 years ago, they wanted you and your family shipped off to a quarantine camp. Yeah, no, that and a great many other things that they've done with their, you know what a sidle, Sue, okay, and an acidal empathy. They love their victimhood. They love their victimhood, and then they couple it with arrogance and self-righteousness. They're known as do-gooders. Okay. Mark, how you doing? Tammy, nice to see you. Yvonne, nice to see you. Brett is here. Merry Christmas, Brett. So, yeah, I hope you all have a great Christmas. So I got in my title, Trump SCOTUS, quote, loss. And, what popped up about that? We had CNN, which, oh, my word, they ought to just go ahead and commandeer that cable channel. It's not on the airwaves like NBC and ABC, CBS. It's cable station, but go ahead and commandeer it and put some members of the military in there to broadcast actual factual news. And but anyway, the Supreme Court barred President Donald Trump from deploying the National Guard to Chicago. And big fat stupid J.D. Pritzker was, this is a wonderful win for us. And who is this? ABC? They should have to pay a big fee for their licenses. They get it for free, and they pump out propaganda. Supreme Court keeps Trump's National Guard deployment blocked in Chicago area. At least they put for now. BK, how you doing? Anyway, what was this? I got part of this article from that I thought was salient, and I will read. Clandestine, he puts stuff down and takes a lot of time to put stuff down that I am 99.9% in agreement with. But this is an article talking about this so-called block on the National Guard. In a statement Tuesday, a White House spokeswoman said the ruling will not stop Trump's efforts to enforce immigration laws, protect federal personnel, and safeguard the American public. He activated the National Guard to protect federal law enforcement officers and to ensure rioters did not destroy federal buildings and property. White House spokeswoman Abigail Johnson told CNN, nothing in today's ruling detracts from that core agenda. What do you mean? This is a significant repudiation of President Trump's efforts to use federal troops to supplement immigration enforcement, especially in Democrat-led jurisdictions. Well, that was a detractor. I didn't even deign to put their name up. Well, the bottom line is, and what I put in the comment was, because I read part of the ruling, somebody posted a partial. It was an unsigned ruling. And dissenting was Alito, Clarence Thomas, And who was the other one? Anyway, Kavanaugh went with the side that said Trump couldn't deploy the guard. And I'm expecting Roberts and perhaps Amy Coney Barrett jumped ship. Who would that leave? But anyway, what they're basically saying was that the term regular forces, they feel to mean the military. If the military can't handle the problems, the people who are breaking the law, then you can call in the National Guard. I put in a comment, I said, well, if it's got to be the regular military instead of the National Guard, that's fine with me. Declare the Insurrection Act. Fine with me. That's what they're saying. That's why I made my thumbnail the way I did. Where's my thumbnail picture? I'll put it up there for you. Regular forces, you would think, would be the police, the sheriff's departments, federal law enforcement, civilian. But no, Supreme Court says regular forces means if the military can't do it, the Navy, so what does that mean? Just what my thumbnail says. It seems SCOTUS just ruled the military is the only way. Where did we hear that before? Where have we heard that before? So it seems that my take on it is also the take of the federal government and Donald Trump. Let me put up this right here. And before I play this, I'm going to do a Mountain Man quiz. What forces are exempt from the Posse Comitatus Act? What forces are exempt from the Posse Comitatus Act? Hi, Kenny. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. Pappy Two Bears. Nice to see you. Colette. Hello, Colette. Nice to see you. I hope you all are having a great Christmas. Ha ha. What are y'all having? Y'all having eggnog with a little bourbon kick in your eggnog? Joan Jett, where'd that go? My chats jump around sometimes. Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. I remember her. Yeah, Mark, I played that video. A peaceful transition to the military in D.C. Tammy, how you doing, Tammy? Where did I see that? Well, it's hard to find these chats sometimes. But anyway, I got to keep on talking. I don't see where anybody's having themselves some libations. Michelle's got her some hot tea. That's good. Evan Williams in the eggnog for Tammy. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, they sell little kits. They sell little kits that you could have eggnog with your in one bottle, and the second bottle is, I think it's Evan Williams sells those little kits. So what forces are exempt from Posse Comitatus? Y'all cogitate on that, and I'll go ahead and play this clip. Is it really a loss for Trump?
Recently said, look, I'm trying to enforce the laws with ICE agents, with federal law enforcement, and I can't do it, so I need to call the National Guard. But the statute says the president has to be unable to enforce the law with regular forces. What does regular forces mean? We don't know. The Supreme Court has never decided that question before yesterday. The Supreme Court now says regular forces means you have to try with the regular armed forces first before you can bring out the National Guard. So the unintended consequence here might be that the president is going to have to call the 82nd Airborne or the Marines or the 101st Airborne Division, as, for example, President Eisenhower did after Brown versus Board of Education in the South to enforce desegregation. President Trump might have to do that first in order to protect those federal buildings, those ICE agents. And then if they fail, he can then call out the National Guard.
Got it. J.B. Pritzker, the governor in the state of Illinois, is saying this. Today is a big win for Illinois and American democracy. This is an important step in curbing the Trump administration's consistent abuse of power and slowing Trump's march toward authoritarianism. That's purely political. I think the president has obviously tried to work within the framework of the law as his legal eagles have seen it. 15 seconds or so, what happens from here? And I guess I answered my own question when I say I'm not surprised by Pritzker's response, and I guess you aren't either.
I'm not. He's, of course, injecting a lot of heated political rhetoric into this. Yeah. But what's going to happen? Trump will, of course, now have the right to go to the Supreme Court on the full merits. As you said, Kevin, this is just preliminary. He may be able to get the full court to reverse this preliminary decision. But second, and I think more worrisome, is the Supreme Court is essentially inviting President Trump to send regular armed troops and deploy those to Chicago and Los Angeles before he can send the National Guard. I think a governor would rather have National Guard troops than the 82nd Airborne and the Marine Corps patrolling the streets of Chicago.
Yeah, especially when you think.
Yeah, so in other words, the president's hands are not tied. And 82nd Airborne, okay, 101st. He brought up Eisenhower, all right. And the Brown versus Board of Education. Also, you could bring up the Whiskey Rebellion. People say, well, this doesn't mean that they're trying to overthrow the government. They're just trying to protect migrants. Well, they're breaking the law. And George Washington called out the troops and rode personally on a horse with a sword to Pennsylvania because of a whiskey tax. It wasn't an attempt to overthrow the government. It was resisting the laws of the United States over whiskey. Brown versus Board of Education. They tried to keep the schools segregated. They weren't trying to overthrow the government. It was the president's inherent power to use force at his disposal to enforce the laws of the United States when local law enforcement was unwilling or unable to do so. So, seems that the Supreme Court is hung up on what regular forces mean. And if they're referring to the military, well, I'll tell you who's not limited by posse comitatus, okay? It includes the National Guard is not prohibited, and also included but not limited to, I'm sure, the United States Coast Guard. Are we going to have a bunch of coasties running around in Illinois and Chicago? No, because the president's own are not subject to posse comitatus. Who is the president's own? The United States Marine Corps. Those three entities are not subject to posse comitatus, and Trump can send down the United States Marine Corps. And also, I can't argue with this fellow about the 82nd Airborne and other means. So, hi, Rain. Wait, you can rewind. We're just warming up. You haven't missed too much, just a warm up. So anyway, jet lag, how you doing? Let's see. Prime rib, oh boy. Anyway, so his hands are not tied, and I would like to see Pritzker get removed and have a military governorship. I was talking to a friend about it today. Lincoln did it. You know, the people that weren't maintaining order or actually participating in the Confederacy, they were removed. Newspapers were shut down. Judges were removed. Governors were removed. Mayor, you name it. But anyway, you know, I got this picture here up on the screen, and I got it from the CUE letter. And new people in the chats, do not put that letter in my chats. I go to the links to say CUE for a reason, because you still get in trouble for it. Cue ball. So I got this picture from that site. And it's easy to remember. Easy to remember. See how I black that letter out so I don't get in trouble? I go to all that trouble. And then somebody will put it in the chats. And then I blow my cork. So anyway, you know why it's easy for me to remember which post this is? Let's see if we got any autists in the crowd. Any autists in the crowd? Oh, I know, Michelle. We're all sick of them. Yeah, they have no clue as to what is coming. I'm doing good, jet lag. I'm sure you are, Gary. You can learn them young'uns a thing or two. No teacher like experience, right? Anyway, why is it so easy for me to remember? I can pull this picture up on the board anytime I want. Thousands of posts, almost 5,000. How do you figure it out? I don't see any solutions. Nobody's picking up what I'm throwing down. Oh, wait a minute. Let me put this up. Here's something for you to put on your meta page. You know, I pop these up every now and then. Get a screenshot. Come on. There we go. Epstein White House invitations. Clinton 17. Isn't that amazing? Invitations extended. Trump 0. Extended. 17 between 1993 and 2001. But anyway, I noticed a long time ago about this post was the number is very easy to remember. 456. 456. If you ever want or you lose a copy of this picture of George Washington crossing Delaware, you just go to that letter alerts, okay? And put in hashtag 456. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. You get what I'm saying? That's why it's so easy to remember. 456. Easy as 1, 2, 3. So anyway, that made me think, well, I wonder what post 1, 2, 3 says. I wonder what post 7, 8, 9 says. And I pulled up some of them just for giggles. We'll go over them. But just giving you a few little tips. And plus something to do in your spare time to have fun with CUE, right? Fun with CUE. Because it can remind you of so many different things. But anyway, let me get this back on the screen to where George Washington is crossing the Delaware, where he gave unlawful combatants no quarter. Christmas Eve, that's what he did. He gave them no quarter. And that is for, especially for people operating on U.S. soil who are dressed as civilians and really affiliated with a hostile force or wearing a phony uniform, using perfidy and other unlawful ways of wishing to do our nation and our citizens harm. They don't get any breaks. They get none. So anyway, they can all keep that in mind, because we're going to be looking at a lot of them that are going to have to answer. Here, I had this up the other night. Sean Daniel put this up. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement carried out a 2-week nationwide enforcement operation, resulted in the arrest of more than 1,000 people in the U.S. illegally. I was kind of disappointed with that number, but hey, the operation was symbolically tied to Laken Riley, okay, a Georgia nursing student who lost her life to an illegal immigrant. And I would have been honored to be part of that operation. I would have liked to have gotten 1,000 myself. So anyway, we can't forget these people. Jocelyn Ungary, and the post I put up about people wanting to arrest people who didn't want to have experimental things done to them. Look at this garbage they're starting to pull over in the EU. The Daily Mail. Father Christmas is too white and has no right to judge if children are naughty or nice. That is what's being pumped around, I guess, by the BBC and people in the EU. Well, we're tired of the attacks on our traditions. We're tired of people with the stolen land BS. As far as I'm concerned, they're all part of this criminal cabal that wants to destroy our country, and we're gonna flip it around on them. What's this one here? Let me get some of these. Trump calls out the New York Times. Trump escalates feud with the New York Times. He called them the enemy. I got to watch what I say. Of the people. I can't say that whole sentence together. That gets me in trouble. They didn't even put that in the Newsmax report. War of words. President Trump issued a new attack on the New York Times early Tuesday, accusing the news organization of lying, publishing fake stories, and posing a serious threat to national security. Those are key words, folks. Key words. He's not pulling punches. Speaking of unlawful combatants, insurrectionists, people who are infiltrating positions of power, we have this creature here. He's known as Count Boasberg by the attorney Andrew Ranka, a vampiric-looking individual. Boasberg. Digital Gal put up, a U.S. district judge is giving the Trump administration 2 weeks to either lay out a plan to return 137 illegal immigrants deported to El Salvador or grant them hearings. Conservatives are demanding Judge James Boasberg's impeachment, saying he overstepped by ordering due process for Venezuelan illegal criminals and is acting like an unelected president. Corrupt judges need to be held accountable for their actions. Well, I can tell you this. The Supreme Court has already instructed this very self-same nitwit to stay out of immigration issues. And he is using perfidious means to, in my opinion, to defy the Supreme Court. Okay? So, as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't have a bit of a problem with Trump having him removed, forcibly removed. And he could answer to a tribunal. Screw impeachment. Okay? We're getting to the point where the gloves need to come off. The gloves need to come off with these idiots. And speaking of idiots, look at this thing here. What do I call him? The Hobbit. Because what we got is we have a criminal conspiracy, okay? And it's in two areas. It's in our civilian life, and it's in, I think it's a military concern, because they are financed and influenced by foreign powers, and they are a threat to national security. And this is one of them. Boasberg's one of them too. The New York Times, the editors of the New York Times, they're one of them too. George Conway takes steps to run for New York City congressional seat. George Conway is responsible for changing the law to allow E. Jean Carroll to make her claims against Donald Trump. And then I feel he colluded and conspired with Judge Kaplan to create the narrative that Donald J. Trump is a rapist, okay? That people like Rob Reiner hung their hat on every chance they got to call Trump a felon, call Trump a rapist, okay? And this SOB was elbow deep in that operation of coordinated slander and libel, along with the judges I've mentioned who were twisting the law for, they'll say, they can say political purposes if they want to. But I'm saying it was military in that it's an illegal psychological warfare campaign that they're running against the American people. That's different than political argument. Political argument is between people who take two different positions, opposing positions, on matters of public policy. But psychological warfare is when you gaslight people, when you get people confused. You use fraudulent means, illicit means, to create a narrative that's harmful to the country and weakens the presidency and puts us all in danger. George Conway, a former conservative lawyer who has been one of the president's most outspoken critics, has filed paperwork to run as a Democrat in New York's 12th congressional district. He has not made an official announcement, and his campaign did not respond. Here we go. Did not respond to requests for comment if he enters the race. You see, they think this will protect them. They think this will protect them. If he enters the race, Conway will be the latest high-profile contender in an increasingly crowded primary to succeed Jerry Nadler. Oh, God. Jeff Kennedy's grandson, Jack Schlossberg, announced in November that he was seeking to succeed Nadler. So you got two, real losers. Conway and Schlossberg. I played a video of Schlossberg, and he ain't much. But anyway, these are all the behind-the-scene creepos who were trying to destroy the Trump presidency. Speaking of creepos, Bill Clinton's spokesperson, we want to see Bill Clinton on tape calling for the release of all Epstein files related to the former president. Really? Well, Trump said he was sorry to see him on there. After the Department of Justice released thousands of files related to Epstein, including a number of decades old. Now that here they say decades old photos. They never prefaced that with Trump photos. They called on all the files relating to Clinton to be released. So what is this supposed to do? What is this supposed to do? Those files have been scrubbed and poisoned. Okay, that's what this tells me. Urena wrote the content and method of how the Department of Justice has released the files. Make it clear that someone or something is being protected. We do not know whom or what or why, Urena wrote, but we do know this. We need no such protection. Why? Because it's already been scrubbed? Oh, we have it all. You may think you scrubbed it, like when you sent Sandy Berger in to stick documents in his trousers and try to steal them from the National Archives. Remember that? Sandy Berger? You know what? You guys are a witness. How many of you all remember me saying nobody really knew who Jeffrey Epstein was, and that he had documents of Saudi Arabia origins and ties to Saudi Arabia? Do you all remember me saying that? How did I know that? Passport. Oh, really? Republic of Austria? Here we go. Here's Jeffrey Epstein. There he is. There's his signature. There's his picture. Marius Robert. What does that say? Saudi Arabian. See that, folks? Marius Robert. That might be a name I could research. Now it's coming out. Have you ever seen this before, folks? But you all are my witness. 3 years ago, I discussed this, that there were documents tying Jeffrey Epstein to Saudi Arabia. There you have it, been released. It hadn't been released before. But we find things out, don't we? Here's Tulsi Gabbard at Turning Point USA. What's she doing? She already talked about Plump and Plain, about people's organs being sold. She talked very clearly that they have disrupted groups that sell infants. Using those words, what's the mainstream media done about it? What have they reported? Don't you think that people would be interested in knowing about this, especially when these organizations are operating on U.S. soil? Oh, but they want to know if there's any more Trump and Epstein photos. They don't care. But here she is throwing some more truth bombs out there.
But what I've seen over these months is that every time they make progress and they move closer and closer to that hope for peace, the warmongers in the deep state step up and try to do everything they can to stop them. Predictably, they use the same old tactics that they've always used. The deep state within the intelligence community weaponizes intelligence to try to undermine progress. They leak it to their friends in the mainstream propaganda media to try to spread this and push a false narrative. They foment fear and hysteria as a way to justify the continuing of the war and their efforts to undermine President Trump's efforts towards peace. And do so specifically in this case in order to try to pull the U.S. military into a direct conflict with Russia, which is ultimately what the EU and NATO want. We cannot allow this to happen. We have to see clearly what's happening before our very eyes and stand united in this cause of peace.
War with Russia. The deep state in the intelligence community. The propaganda arm of the deep state in the mainstream media. She's saying it in terms we all understand. That reminds me of, let's see if this is the Post. Yeah, remember I said 4, 5, 6? 5, 6, 7. I wonder if that means anything. So I started going down the line. Which one is this? 10, 11. I got to 10, 11, and then I quit. I said, well, let me see what 10, 11 says. Makes it easy to remember. Sequential numbers. Money, power, control. People are simply in the way. Slaves, sheep, pawn. Mass X events designed to decrease threat level of population. Extermination events. Gun control. Wars. Fake. Top happy. The elites, the top tier is happy. Back end deal. Election rigging. Control. Your voice does not matter. Pharma. Class D. What did Trump just do with Big Pharma? Huge news. He broke the back of the cabal's control over Big Pharma. Water, air. And isn't it strange? I've been over this post in the past. Those of you who've been with me for a while, there's over 5,000 posts, and I haven't gone over but maybe 20 of them. Chemicals pushed for home use. Cleaning causes cancer. Baby on the floor, hands and mouth. That's the start of what? The start of what? Reduction in population. Illnesses that Big Pharma can profit off of. And then scenes. Not all. Tobacco. Opioids, ultimate win, death, plus money. They get our money, plus they take our lives. The Fed, Rothschild, conspiracy, conspiracy, conspiracy. UK, Germany, 5 days. Read into that what you will. Choice is yours. Revelations. Enough is enough. When we hear Trump say that, it'll be another marker. But the point of this, I'm bringing it up in relationship to what Tulsi Gabbard just said at TPUSA. North Korea diffuse. Remember, Trump went over there and diffused the boogeyman talk by Obama about North Korea. Russia testing new missiles. Russia, new threat. Coincidence? In other words, since Trump diffused North Korea, they want to turn Russia into the next boogeyman. They must maintain a threat to retain their power and influence. Are you awake? Are you awake? So that was interesting and a salient post. Oh, wait a minute. Here's some other posts I pulled up. thinking in sequential numbers, just for fool around. How many of you are familiar with this? Remember, the first one with George Washington was 4, 5, 6. That's easy to remember. 4, 5, 6. Here's 7, 8, 9. What do you all remember in your memory banks from this? Global ambassador. What do you all remember about this? Look at the sponsors. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Microsoft, Google, and Epic. You'll have to excuse the language, but this is a post the board decided to highlight in a black box from one of the anons following. OF. This page says it's sponsored by Bill Gates, effing Google, Epic. Looks like the Russian Gannett thing, walnut sauce sign that the autists dug up. What do you all remember about that? Gannett. Gannett is also located in McLean, Virginia. Coincidence? Just the tip. What else is located in McLean, Virginia? C. I. A. Here's another one I pulled up. 1, 2, 3. Remember I said it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Nothing is random. Everything has meaning. Plus, plus, plus. Remember that video I played with Trump? We said if I hadn't done something very important, we could have lost it all. It was very important that I did one thing. And he said plus, plus, plus. Remember? So this may be a way of navigating posts by choosing sequential numbers because it makes it easy for them to remember. What's this? 12 and 13. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 3. Holy crap, he's been diddling her since she was 10? Who are they talking about? Oh, Barack the Stain Obama. Love this shot taken here on N Street just a few weeks before Barack Obama announced, my gal Maggie Nix was just 10. This didn't get highlighted for nothing. And the board's response is, it's open source. Open source. What are they going to find out about Barack Hussein Obama? We shall see. I've got in my thumbnail that there's a military buildup. And I showed you all a little bit of that the other night. But it's increased. Let me pop these up real quick. Look at here. What are these? Oh, it looks like jets lined up. Where are they? What are they loading in the back? Oh, looks like an Apache helicopter. The U.S. continues to build up forces and resources in the zone of the Southern Spear operation in the Caribbean region. Now, I was thinking to myself, Maduro sent all those young military-age men over here, and I played the video where he said Joe Biden asked him to send the Tren de Aragua mob, hundreds of thousands of military-age men. Don't you think he'd want to recall them to help defend his nation? Don't you think he would want them to come back and cover his behind? Oh, well, maybe they have an operation on U.S. soil prepared instead. Here we have more. I think these are F-35s, advanced AWACS. Yeah, they are. 21 F-35B fighter jets from the 3rd Marine Air Wing of the U.S. Marine Corps and F-35A fighter jets from the 158th Fighter Wing of the U.S. Air Force National Guard out of a total of 22 deployed at the Roosevelt Roads Naval Air Station in Puerto Rico. Now, how do the Ruskies know this much detail? They got a lot of detail. I'll show you how much detail they got. This is what's over there now. The USA continues to build up forces and resources in its own Southern Spear operations in the Caribbean region. 6 electronic warfare aircraft, EA-18G Growler from the 132nd Electronic Warfare Squadron arrived at Roosevelt Roads. In addition to the electronic warfare aircraft, a helicopter HH-60 Pavehawk from the 33rd Rescue Squadron was transferred to the base from Japan. A number of unknown fighter jets, F-35 Lightning II, from the 158th Wing of the Vermont National Guard Air Force are expected to arrive at the base soon. 6 refueling aircraft, 135 Stratotankers of the U.S. Air Force were spotted at Las Americas International Airport near Santo Domingo, the capital of the Dominican Republic. Is it for Colombia or Venezuela or both? Because we know the president of Colombia better watch his ASS. But anyway, meanwhile, who's this? Looks official. A business jet Falcon 50 with Chief of the General Staff of Libya. Remember Libya? Benghazi? Gaddafi? General Muhammad Ali al-Haddad crashed near Ankara in Turkey. Haddad had met with Turkish Defense Minister Yasir Gula and his Turkish colleague, General whatever his name is. So they had meetings in Turkey from Libya. Oh, that's Zelensky. I'll get to him in a minute. Well, it could have been an accident. The Prime Minister of Libya, we have received news of the death of the Chief of Staff of the Libyan Army, General Muhammad al-Haddad, and his companions who were returning from Ankara. So, was it an accident? Could have been. 2025 was a tough year, but don't worry, because the next one will be much worse. Italian Prime Minister Meloni. That doesn't sound very encouraging, does it? Remember, she met with Zelensky, and she didn't look happy. Zelensky put out a 20-point peace plan. He cooked up with the EU. He is PISSing Trump off. I'm not going to read all 20 of his points that he came up with. But Russian news reports the most beautiful points seem to be those where Russia is offered to withdraw the troops from everywhere important, I'll put it that way, Dnipropetrovsk, Nikolaev, Sumy, and Kharkiv regions, while Ukraine will not withdraw troops from Donbass, as well as return the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant under control of the U.S. and Ukraine. So Russia, you get out of everywhere. We're going to stay where we are. That's one of our points. You should be happy with that, right, Russia? I don't think so. Other terms of the agreement, Zelensky agrees on only one condition, that they are put to a national referendum, which solves two problems for him at once. Shift the responsibility for a difficult decision to the population, as well as give respite on the front. Give them a chance to rearm, regroup, as a referendum will obviously require a ceasefire. Also, according to Zelensky, the military situation and mobilization in Ukraine will not be immediately canceled. In other words, they're going to keep on building up their forces as best they can. He put out a Christmas statement. It's in his language. I did not upload it. Even if it was in English, I would not play it. You know why? Here's the highlights. Zelensky stated in his Christmas greeting that all Ukrainians make one wish on this day. May he die. The clown did not specify whose death Ukrainians are wishing for. Ukrainian Telegram channels suggest he was referring to Putin. He also called Russians godless people who have nothing in common with Christianity or anything human because of their attacks on Ukraine. You know, the left is eating up this kind of talk. So no, I'm not going to play it. Did you all hear that a particular senator is being called out for taking money from Ukraine? And they claim there is a Justice Department investigation ongoing. Wait a minute. Whoa, wrong one. Where is it? Here it is. Oh, no, that's not it either. That's, Well, it's Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham. There's a whistleblower that's claiming that Lindsey Graham has been taking money and is being funneled through European countries straight into his bank account. I'm not saying it's true or not true, but I'm saying that he has said that there is a Justice Department investigation into Lindsey Graham. I haven't heard any comment from Lindsey Graham on that. Have you all? When I find it, I'll pull it up. I got a lot of stuff. Maybe this is it. I don't know. Here's a clip. Let me see what this is. Oh, this might be it. Let's see.
And let me say something about Senator Graham. There will be news coming out in the next couple of months about how he has profited financially off of money that came out of Ukraine, laundered through Latvia, and made its way into his bank account. And we're talking significant amounts of money. Department of Justice is looking at it.
All right, those are serious allegations leveled by former CIA officer Larry Johnson. We shall see.
Nobody else is touching it. We got this kind of unfamiliar news source that is putting it out there. What do y'all think? Lindsey Graham been playing ball with the white hats because they got him over a barrel? I believe so. Now, I'm going to show you all something. How many times in the past, if you remember what I'm talking about, put a yes in the chats for me, please. How many times have you heard me talk about Michael Francis, who was a mob underboss with the Colombo family, who stated years ago, and I repeated it years ago, about Comey and the FBI, about a $6 million secret account that he had half of the numbers for the account. He gave those numbers to the FBI as part of a plea agreement, and the $6 million disappeared and was never mentioned in court records. James Comey was involved. A lot of other people were involved. How many of you remember me saying that Michael Francis was going to be activated, that I thought he was going to play a role in helping take down the deep state? How many of you all remember me saying that? Because I said it more than once starting years ago. Rudy Giuliani prosecuted him. He just did a interview with Rudy Giuliani a couple months ago. Well, he's doing a series of videos right now. And who's he focusing on? How many people heard me talk about for years Mr. Sweaty Man? Mr. Sweaty Man. Right there. Andrew Weissman, who is involved with the Mueller probe, who has been a shadow hand in all of the prosecutions against Trump and Trump associates. He should be in prison. Francis documentary, there you go. Ex-mob boss exposes the most corrupt prosecutor in America. But wait, there's more. He goes into a lot more than that. He's got a 2-part, maybe it's 3 by now. He's pure evil. There he is, holding the keys to jail cells. He's with attorney David Schoen. Top attorney exposes the corruption. I'm going to play you all a little clip. And I encourage you, if you want to have some holiday watching, because I know that during the holidays, there's not a lot of videos coming out because people are celebrating Christmas. Well, go to Michael Francis's channel. I'm at the 108 mark, 107, 108. You can pull up those titles again and look them up. But I got a clip of part of his video I'm going to play for you. And I was going to do the whole video. I might do the whole video for a reaction in the future. But listen to the names he brings up. Listen to the scenarios he discusses. Now, he's focusing on his friend who has been in jail for 30 plus years. He mentions his father, who was put away for 40 years by corrupt and crooked politicians and judges. Okay? He's got the goods on certain people. I'll put little exclamation points or set a bomb off whenever he says certain names while he's talking here. But he's going to bring up more than his friend being put in prison wrongfully by Andrew Weissman, Mr. Sweaty Man. he's going to bring up more names about a lot of things. So let Michael tell you a little tale.
You know what? You hear these things and you say, did this really happen? In our criminal justice system, can this really happen? Can somebody be framed like this? Can a prosecutor suborn perjury? Can an FBI instigate a war where people are killed? Can an informant get such grace that he's allowed to commit 50 or 60 or 70 murders under the nose of the corrupt FBI? The answer is yes. This really happened. This is the system that we have. And you say, these people don't get held accountable? Well, it's time that they do. I mean, it's a fact. Lynn Del Vecchio was involved in murders, along with Greg Scarpa, a captain in the Colombo family, along with me, a guy that I sat down with 2 or 3 times a week, a guy that bragged about murdering people. And the FBI allowed it to happen.
And then they take Linda Del Vecchio was a big shot in the FBI. He's tying her to 50 plus red rums, myrrh and endures.
Take it a step further. They indict people and they suborn perjury and they hold back information that could, exculpatory information that can get these people released, prove that they don't belong there, and they hold it back. And then they go on, then they further their careers. Andrew Weissman, scum of the earth again. He's now teaching. He's teaching at a university. It's ridiculous. It's a shame. It's a sham. And somebody has to put a stop to this, and I hope it's our president, because he does understand, because he's been victimized by it. Him and his entire family. You know, by the grace of God, okay, they didn't get to him all the way. They put him through hell, but they didn't get to him all the way, and he was elected president again. But he knows this system. He knows how much they lie, how bad that they can be. And hopefully the FBI that we have in place now can see that they're doing the right thing and trying to straighten all this out. But man, it gets me angry. It gets me angry because I watched my father do 40 years for a crime he didn't commit and destroyed my entire family. And now I'm watching my dear friend, Michael Sessa, 33 years in prison, doesn't belong there. And I hope the president sees through this. I really mean this, because and it's Andrew Weissman's fault, Lynn DeVecchio's fault, and all the judges at that time that cooperated to cover this all up. And this goes much deeper, and I'm going to prove it to you. You seen David Schoen, he mentioned Greg Scarpa Jr., who is also an associate of mine. I am going to be interviewing Greg Scarpa, and what Greg Scarpa Jr. is going to tell you is going to make your hair stand on end. Information that he provided that was verified to the FBI back then, and how they just let it go. They could have prevented a major catastrophe. And you know what that catastrophe was? 9/11. They could have prevented it, and in order to protect their despicable FBI agent, Lynn Del Vecchio, and in order to cover up and not release the people that should have been out of jail through that Colombo War, they kept it quiet. That's right. Absolutely. And I have the evidence and the proof to show you this. I don't speak out of turn. This is only one step. We're going to go further. But right now, it's all about my friend Michael Sessa and President Trump. If you've been listening to this, you know David Schoen is a man of integrity. When he brings something forward, it's because he knows it's the truth. And in this case, Michael Sessa should not be in prison. He's done all of this time. He should not be in prison. He deserves it because perjury was suborned in his case. Evidence that would have put him out of this case was held back by Weissman and a corrupt FBI back then. And he deserves to be on the street. And I really hope the president looks at this and does the right thing, because that is the right thing to do. He knows. Weissman came after him too. He knows what a dirtbag this guy is, in plain English.
So he mentioned Weissman's name, I don't know how many times. This is Linda. Linda Del Vecchio, not only involved in 50 plus murders, all the other crimes he talked about, but he's tied it in to 9/11. I should have a picture of Trump holding that 9/11. But anyway, that's over an hour of a viewing that you can check out yourself. And it is going to be an ongoing story. And I said 3 or 4 years ago that Michael Francis was a sleeper and he was going to pop out and be activated. And I believe he's been activated. And I have always said that Andrew Weissman is one of the top tier deep state operatives. And he's going to go down. He's going to go down. So here's some more of the Great Awakening. Remember I talked about Scott Adams the other day? I said he was because of a tumor. He's home now, and he's still live streaming. Thank goodness. God bless him, and I hope he. But here he is coming out and saying, and how many times have I said it? RICO. Well, I say RICO. He doesn't say RICO in here. But the Democrat Party is a criminal organization. All right? But I'll go ahead and play it. Mainstream people are starting to talk about what we've been talking about for years.
Is it going too far if I said that the Democrats are a criminal organization, the entire entity? Now, I don't mean every voter. Voters probably are just, going blah, blah, blah. Everybody's bad. Democrats have some problems. Republicans have some problems, but I prefer the Democrats. So most voters, I think, are blissfully unaware of just how much crime is happening. But if you look at it collectively, here are just some of the things. So you've got thousands, if not millions, of NGOs. And we know now that the NGOs are essentially money laundering operations. So those would be mostly Democrat criminal organizations, or at least, they'd be involved in something that would be, I think you would call it money laundering. We know that these SNAP funds were massively stolen and that was primarily by Democrats. We might find out that Act Blue is a criminal organization. I think we will. Some people say that our elections were rigged primarily by Democrats. That would be crime. You could argue how proven that is or not, but in my opinion, I think the rigging of elections is just a fact. And I think it leans heavily toward the Democrats. Not that no Republicans ever cheated, but probably there's a pretty big difference in scale. Then there's everything in California. Basically, it seems like every dime that California gets, it just disappears. The fire recovery money didn't go to the people who were recovering. The bullet train never happened. The money for the homeless didn't help anybody. So pretty much everything in California is even worse than Minnesota, and it's all criminal. To me, it looks criminal. And then you got this whole operation where the Democrats find ways to fund teachers who are all Democrats, and then they donate to Democrat people. So you got some kind of circular money laundering thing. Then you've got the main Democrats who pulled the Russia collusion hoax. You've got the Clinton, what probably just a money laundering thing. Yeah, the Clinton Foundation, thank you. So pretty much every major story that involves gigantic fraud seems to be Democrats. Now, just to be clear, I'm not giving Republicans a pass. Maybe they're just better at it, right? It's hard to believe that all the crime is just on one side of the political aisle. That would be weird, right? But am I wrong? Am I in a bubble where I'm only seeing the Democrat bad behavior? I hear lots of accusations about Trump personally, but that stuff tends to be all transparent and public. He's not hiding it. It's in the news. You can tell he did this with crypto. You could tell he did this with whatever. So you could disagree or not like what Trump does, but that's still not Republicans. That would be something you don't like about Trump. So am I wrong that this is so imbalanced toward Democrats, that if you said the Democrats are, at least as a party, not the individual voters, but it seems like a criminal organization. And I mean that without any hyperbole.
There you go, folks. You can have coffee with Scott Adams. He's still plugging along every morning. Every morning. Thank you, Rain. My cough will be okay. I just go out there when it's warm and then it gets cold and I'm still out there. And, yeah. Yeah, I don't hit the mute button quick enough. Hi, Darla. How you doing? They don't call it pneumonia weather for nothing. Here you go. Here's one to put on your meta page. My family isn't joining us for the holidays because we support Trump. Now, this is what I voted for. Put that on your meta page. Here's another one for you to put on your meta page. Liberals don't like any king, thinking, working, fact-checking, making sense. Now, when everybody gets activated, I'm talking about the military, do statements like this qualify this person to be removed? He's using his position as a senator to menace law enforcement agencies, federal law enforcement agents. Senator Dick Durbin, they call him Dirty Dick. We will prosecute ICE agents if we regain power. Statute of limitations for these provisions is 5 years. Prosecute them for what? You are just making threats. Keep an eye out for Dick Durbin to be detained. I feel he's on the list. Here's another one. I think he's going to be one of the first. It's a coin toss between him and Pritzker, baby back Pritzker. Which one? Well, it might be somebody out of the blue. It might be somebody like the Colorado governor who won't free Tina Peters. I don't know. But here he is blaming everybody. We have this rank and open fraud and theft going on, importing illegals to support their criminal voting methods. They have stolen so much from us. So much. But here he is babbling about it being everybody's fault. He's a victim, but they're going to fight, right?
It's not about keeping people safe. It's about generating fear. It's public safety by political theater. And not only is it not keeping people safe, it's putting people at risk. It's putting the people that they say they're targeting at risk. It's putting other innocent Minnesotans at risk. It's putting law enforcement at risk. It is. And I will not be lectured about protecting law enforcement for the people who instigated January 6th and attacked people who were my friends of Capitol Police. Right. So Minnesotans will not be lectured by this administration about anything, especially about public safety and human decency. We saw yesterday a U.S. citizen, a member of SEIU, was racially profiled and harassed by ICE agents right here in Minneapolis. In Minnesota, we'll prosecute criminals because of their actions, regardless of their race, their background, their immigration status. That's right. But we'll never target people because of those things. The distinction matters. When law enforcement is driven by profiling or intimidation, it undermines all the trust in the community. It makes us less safe, and it pulls resources away from doing the real work of crime. Minnesota's not going to play along with their strategy. Will not allow our communities to be used as political theater or for their personal benefit. I think it's pretty clear to all of us exactly what this president is doing. He's targeting states and communities that he has a national political fight against and that he doesn't agree with. It's also a distraction from his own personal crimes that are out there being investigated while he's harassing others. So as Minnesotans, on January 1st, your healthcare costs are going to skyrocket. Groceries aren't any cheaper. Your community's no safer. And we have people that won't even communicate the most basic things amongst law enforcement, as we've always worked together. And it never mattered before who the administration. This is what happens when your own federal government wages war against you. This is what happens when they target communities for their own benefit. This is what happens when they scapegoat. And this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy, when you hear the Vice President of the United States talk about now white people won't have to apologize for being white. That's never happened once in my whole damn life. And I think everybody in this room knows what they're doing. So we're here today to say enough of this. We're here today to stand that Minnesota will protect their neighbors, to tell those folks who are out there who are too scared to send your children to school, who are too scared to visit a local business, who are too worried about maybe picking up extra food during the holidays at the food banks. We will do all we can to make those corridors safe for you, to make sure you're able to do what you need to do. So I'm grateful for the leadership in this room. I'm grateful that the folks who've been standing up time and time again. I'm grateful to our faith community that took this out of the political realm and made this about humanity. And the reason we're here, like all of you had, we hear rumors, we hear suggestions of things, because it's how they operate, that there will be an increased presence. I would tell you, if I were a betting person, they will do it over these holiday seasons because it makes it especially cruel. It makes it especially mean-spirited. It makes it especially traumatizing. Faith on these most important of the high holidays in all of our faiths. So I would fully expect, and we are preparing for, an influx of more agents, more of the very visible public theatrics of the raids, of the harassments, and you got faith leaders here. I would not put it past this administration to target midnight mass services amongst folks going to worship, because that's who they are. And God knows they're not going to church, or if they are, they're not doing it the way that we were taught. So with that, I'm going to turn to somebody who I've trusted on these things. And again, I've said it. You don't need your elected officials to give you a sermon. They should try and live one. So I know.
I agree. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he is, he's, up is down and down is up, right, Sparky? He's got it backwards. Hi, Jeffrey. How you doing? Hi, Sissy. How you doing? Yeah, he's got it backwards. Vilifying law enforcement, rallying his thugs, and invoking religion. I put a link for Buy Me a Coffee in the description at the 127 mark, 126 mark. If anybody wants to help the channel out, if you appreciate my efforts, it's for Buy Me a Coffee. It's greatly appreciated, and I appreciate Wayne and Norman, Roland. I haven't seen Roland tonight. And Miss Mindersue for helping out this week. But anyway, yeah, so he's got a lot of nerve to talk about and he's scaring people. Oh, they're going to come after you in the church. Well, I heard that ICE representatives told them we're not. But that's not what he's putting out in the public. Yes, Todd, Merry Christmas to you also. Yeah, he looks terrible. He looks like he's scared witless. I would use another term. I'm trying to put this here. Michelle Wu. Michelle Wu. We got to make sure this never happens again. Listen to this garbage. 75% of the Somalis in Minnesota are on full welfare benefits. 75% full welfare benefits. How many others are on partial? It's going to be close to 100% full or partial. And listen to what she's got to say.
You cannot talk about any achievement that the city of Boston has had in safety, jobs, and economic development, in education, without talking about the Somali community that has lifted our city up. We are proud and we are grateful for our Somali community and for our Somali American neighbors. Boston and the country are clear that hate has no place in our society. We will use every attack to actually strengthen and expand the services available, to empower and work alongside our community members who are already doing so much good in the world and setting an example for the rest of the country.
Doing so much good in the world. We are to look at what the hell you're doing here, woman. Doing so much good. All they're doing is plucking our feathers and taking our hard-earned money, ripping our nation off. Here's Nick Shirley, an example of the billions of dollars of fraud taking place in Minnesota. They opened up a learning center. Nick Shirley's going to show you this almost $2 million learning center.
Here in Minnesota, massive fraud is taking place within the government and the Somali population. Here, this building alone, Quality Learning Center, is a daycare, yet they spelled learning wrong and they said leering. This daycare alone in 2025 has received $1.9 million from the government. And the strange things about these childcare centers is there's no one here right now. It's midday on a weekday. And if you were to try to go inside, it's completely closed and the windows are all blacked out. No one's working, midday. Children should be in here. And this place is licensed for 99 children. And this is the outside. There's no windows, no nothing. And like I said, they literally spelt the word wrong on their sign. This is open and blatant fraud taking place here inside of Minnesota. The government is complicit with this, and this is just one of the hundreds of child daycare centers here inside of Minneapolis being ran by the Somali population. It's sad that it's happening here in Minnesota, and it stinks that it's happening and it's being labeled on the Somali population. However, that's just the facts of what's happening here inside of Minnesota. $1.9 million for this daycare center that can't even spell learn.
Yeah, we need our own CCOT. We need our own CCOT. Or multiple CCOTs. This is clandestine. Putting up Trump could have invoked the Insurrection Act at any moment. The reason for waiting is a matter of timing and public perception. How many times have we said that? Signing an order is the easy part. Convincing 340 million Americans that we are compromised from within and the U.S. military needs to secure our cities. That's the hard part. Especially when the mainstream media are compromised and telling the public that Trump is literally Hitler and is going to unleash a military dictatorship. This had to be done delicately, as not to cause panic. The public must be psychologically prepared. That's why Trump has been giving a soft disclosure about the Insurrection Act for a long time. They have been mentally preparing us for what they knew had to be done by showing us why it needed to be done. Here he is back in September addressing his generals and reminding them how Washington and Lincoln used the military to keep the peace. I'm going to play this clip. And he also mentions another certain name where we have been familiar with for a very long time.
George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Grover Cleveland, George Bush, and others all used the armed forces to keep domestic order and peace. Many of our leaders used the military. And you know what the people say? The people in those cities where they're being raped and shot and beat up, you know what they say? We love the military. You ever see where they interview the people on the street? I've never seen somebody say they don't, unless they're radical and paid off, because a lot of these insurrectionists are paid by, whether it's Soros or other people, but they're paid by the radical left. So today I want to thank every service member from general to private who has bravely helped us secure the nation's capital and make America safe for the American people. It's amazing. The whole world is watching.
Yeah, I deleted that comment. Miss Sue and Mr. Whoever you are, be decent. You know, I don't want to block you. Why don't y'all group chat and do a Jonestown? Why don't you? There are literally millions, hundreds of thousands of YouTube channels. Why don't you go somewhere and that you like? Why are you here? We're discussing facts of the matter. Facts. Events that are in real time. I mean, do you want to close your eyes to what's going on around you? Well, then I'll go ahead and block you if that's what you want. But don't be surprised when we restore law and order. Okay. So goodbye. Yeah, he's welcome to come in here, but just coming in and ranting and raving like a fool. It makes no sense. Makes no sense. I'm talking facts. People are getting wise to what's been happening. Here's what I got on a news notification. This is the kind of games they play. Google notified me. Judge orders Trump administration. Judge Boasberg orders Trump administration to provide due process relief. That's how they describe bringing back a bunch of terrorists and criminals into our country. That judge has got to go, and he's going to go. You mark my words. Just like the other things that I put up and said, do you all remember me saying this? Do you all remember me saying that? You remember me talking about this person? Remember me talking about that person? Well, you're going to see. You're going to see Boasberg, there's going to be some action taken against him. He's harming this country, and he's not operating within the law. He's perverting the law. And here's Stephen Miller. Is this Stephen Miller? Yeah. Yeah, right here. About these people that Judge Boasberg thinks he can order the President of the United States to bring back into the country.
Anybody reaching out to me, of course, as you know, people put things into comms, inboxes, and general feedback comments, but I don't remember getting anything. But more fundamentally, this is another pathetic 60 Minutes hatchet job. They're trying to tell sob stories about trained Iraq gang members who drill holes in people's hands, who rape and murder little girls. This is the gang that kidnapped, sexually assaulted, and murdered Jocelyn Ungary. Remember her, that precious 12-year-old girl from Texas who was taken from her mom and went through horrors none of us can even imagine? And you have you have these 60-minute producers who are living in comfort and security in their West End condos trying to make us feel sympathetic for these monsters? Have you seen the tattoos, the face tattoos, the body tattoos on these killers? Would one 60 minutes per deal? We will pick someone at random that we sent to CCOT, just a random lottery drawing, and they will spend one day overnight in your apartment. Who was taking that deal at 60 minutes? Nobody. Because they know that these are monsters who got exactly what they deserved. Because under President Trump, we are not going to let little girls get raped and murdered anymore. And every one of those producers at 60 minutes engaged in this revolt, fire them. Clean house, fire them. That's what I say.
There you go. 60 minutes, my point. I'm going to mention this late in the broadcast because everybody that's hung with me this long are going to appreciate this observation. 60 Minutes was going to put out a hit piece about CCOT, and at the last moment, they decided not to air it. And the left went cuckoo. Okay? Do you think that there's evidence gathered that will show that Judge Boasberg colluded, conspired, or otherwise acted as a confederate with this mainstream media foreign influence propaganda machine to do his order, a historic order, ordering the president of the United States to return these animals from a foreign country back into our country the same night as this hit piece on CCOT was going to air? You know how long these rulings take. And isn't it funny that the night he put his order out was the night the hit piece was. Little did he know that they didn't show it. Now, we know that Space Force and the U.S. Boasberg did Arctic Frost, where he spied, approved the spying on of U.S. congressmen, senators. Well, it didn't turn about fair play. Maybe somebody's spying on you, Boasberg. And you're doing a coordinated effort to undermine and subvert the President of the United States? Impeach my ass. Arrest him. Now, that's what I've got to say about that. Oh, and something else for you here, Boasberg. I want you to go to bed at Christmas Eve and have this little picture in your head, Count Boasberg. I had my own special effects. I wanted to set some bombs off around them too. But anyway, there were two more vessels. That was one. Here's the other. They used 30 caliber machine guns and also a Hellfire missile. You know what's going on? What's going on there is Judge Napolitano and all these rookies and greenhorns that don't know nothing about military equipment or naval vessels or any damn thing are saying, well, these boats only have a range of 50 miles. How many times have you seen them with dozens of barrels? I had a boat. I moved. Well, I won't get into it, but I had two 55-gallon drums on the back. I filled with gasoline. To supplement, the gas tank was about 120 gallons. And I didn't want to stop for fuel. And I had a long trip to go on. It was a 26-foot cabin cruiser I was moving. And Yeah, I had 2 barrels on the back that I jerry-rigged along with the standard tank. You see these big explosions when they're firing just 30 calibers, not a missile. It's their supplemental gas. It's their barrels of gasoline going off. Judge Napolitano, I'm sorry, but you're an idiot. Ow, boom. I know people are going to say, oh, he's so evil, making fun of these poor fishermen. These poor fishermen that have nowhere to go. Another creep that's going to get one upside his head is John Brennan. John Brennan, his attorney wrote a letter. He thinks he's being treated unfairly. Is this a letter? Yeah. John Brennan, how many times have I put his face up? A letter by email to Chief Judge Cecilia Altonega. She's chief judge of the United States District Court in the Southern District of Florida, complaining about formally advised by prosecutor office of the United States Attorney for the Southern District. Well, he's been disgraced, okay? He's had his security clearance removed. He's going to get charged with extremely serious. Spend the rest of his life in prison. He's a target of a grand jury investigation, blah, 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 in the Miami division, blah, 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 which is examining the circumstances surrounding the production of the 2017 intelligence community assessment about Russian efforts to interfere with the 2016 presidential election in the United States. Yeah. Now he's peeing and moaning about Judge Eileen Cannon. I'm not going to read all of it, but he's running scared. And they're not going to have any luck. Eileen Cannon is going to be hearing your case. America is going to be watching your case. My goodness, look at how much time has gone by. That's right, Rain. Yeah, there's shark poop now. I think I am right about Bozoberg. Ha ha, Rain wanted to see that thing blow up again, did you? Yeah. Anyway, I got other videos about ICE having a fire, open fire on people who tried to run them down. Trump putting out stuff about the Georgia election. We'll get into that in a future broadcasts because I'm coming up on 2 hours. But anyway, I got a video. Let me see what this one is. I want to play for you all. Let's see what this is. A gray screen. What is this? This is bizarre. What is this? Something that was put up by Dan Scavino today. I will play it going out and watch the images go by. Okay, folks, that's the thing. Memories, imaging. What do I always say? I say thank you for spending your precious time with me. And I do hope you all have a very Merry Christmas. And I hope you get the opportunity to minister and to calm the nerves of any TDS people that you might have in your life that want to come back to normalcy. Let's hope that that is the case, and we can mend these broken fences in our community. And if you can't, that you can still live a happy life knowing that you were on the right side of history. But anyway, thank you for spending your time with me tonight. I hope you enjoy this video. I hope you all have a great Christmas. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.
All alone I watch the quiet rain. Wonder if it's gonna snow again. Silent night, holy night. But Christmas Eve and what it used to be. Whoa. Silent night, oh yeah, holy night. If you were beside me, then I could hear angels, and I'd give you rainbows for Christmas. Somewhere far away the sleigh bells ring. I remember when we used to sing, whoa, silent night, oh yeah, holy night.
And from the crew of Apollo 8, we close with good night, good luck, a Merry Christmas, and God bless all of you on this good earth.